I believe I am late to this Battlefield party, but being a noob, I know I will be forgiven. I have never played Battlefield, so here's my honest first reaction. If you are like me, you do proper research before spending your money or time on something. For me, this can be anything from camera equipment, headphones, or in this case, to pay for a video game. A short while ago, Battlefield made it free to download Battlefield 5 and 2042 for free. And so of course I downloaded it since I've wanted to try it for a while now. Great thing is I didn't have to pay for it. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to be cheap. I just don't think Battlefield had enough appeal for me to spend money on it. But for this video I played Battlefield for the first time ever, and this is my honest first reaction. I just want to mention that I don't want to be just a one-trick pony. I know that my channel might grow faster by focusing on one game and one game only, but I don't find the appeal in that. So you can expect me to play different games more often. The idea is for me to give you an inside look to help you decide which games you'd like to invest your time and money in. I want to start by sharing the overall feel I got for the game. The game has interesting maps to play out. It does feel like a battlefield, like you're in a war. At times it did feel a bit chaotic, and I was getting frustrated how quickly I was dying at times. But I can attribute that to not having good strategy in the game yet. It's something that you learn as you go. The sound of the bullets flying during battle sounds very cool. If they are close to you, it has a snapping sound, which tells you you better run for cover. When I went into certain game modes, the game did feel a little dead, as if no one was playing. I was the only one in a lobby, and it required either 4 or 8 people and up to 32 people. And after 5 minutes I was still the only person in the lobby. The very first game I played, I thought to myself, this is really fun so far. But how come I don't hear any teammates talking? Then I realized I was playing with and against AI bots. My excitement faded really quickly. I then selected a different game mode, to which it was a mix of real players and AI bots. But don't let that discourage you. Those bots took me out quite easily. They seemed a bit overpowered at times. I also felt that the movement is a bit slower compared to Call of Duty, but it felt more realistic. However, I did note that when I played against some people that they were much faster than I am. Not all, but definitely the experienced players. At least, that's what it felt like. So I'm not sure if it's a setting or if your character gets more speed as you upgrade. The game has a good variety of game modes. The game mode I played the most has smaller milestones, and it's called Domination and TDM. It's the team who gets to 200 kills first, or you get 3 zones to defend, which is called Domination. And the team whose resources are depleted first loses. What I really like about this game is that you play on a different map each game. Obviously at some point you will repeat maps. During the main screen I did get a sense of confusion. I wasn't sure what each game mode was about. I could tell you have a campaign mode, but the other game modes didn't really give me a good idea of what to expect. The guns and their loadouts felt a bit awkward to deal with. Selecting your scope, grip, magazine and suppressor type felt slightly strange. But that's nothing major, and I will explain in more detail later. You also get to select between being an engineer, support, recon or an assault player type. Each of them having their own set of skills, guns and gadgets. Of course, you can select whatever gun you want. If you wanted to be recon but not use a sniper rifle, then you can do so. However, during gameplay, it didn't feel like each category had that much different to do. But that just might be because of the game modes I played, not necessarily because of the game itself. During gameplay, I thought I would hear more people communicating, but it was very quiet. At the end of the game, it was more about getting kills as fast as possible. Which sounds like duh, but we already have a Call of Duty that's all about speed. I guess I just had an expectation that this would be more strategic. It would be nice if the guys in a team would communicate and formulate a plan to win the round. But nothing like this happened. This caused the gap between the winner and losers to be quite big. At times during play I found myself forgetting I had to defend a certain area and was focusing on getting as many kills as possible. And it seemed like the rest of my team forgot about it too. I still think it's cool that Battlefield has these shorter game modes, but then also has the game modes that takes more time and where more strategy is involved. Variety is always good. Unfortunately, I never got to play these game modes since no one has joined one of these bigger lobbies so far. Just like most games, you can score XP, which unlocks new weapons, attachments, characters, skins, gadgets, and more. In the next part of the video, I want to go into more detail. I will share my likes and dislikes, and I'll try to be as detailed as possible. A few things I didn't like about the game. Number 1, I have no idea where they are shooting me from. It shows this red line and bullet direction thing, but mid-fight I couldn't really understand where fire is coming from. The way Battlefield displays it isn't very obvious. The second thing is, sniping has to be extremely accurate. Actually, I feel that all shooting has to be incredibly accurate, but sniping even more so. In these scenes I'm definitely hitting my enemy, but unless it's center chest or headshot, nothing happens. Sometimes it felt like perhaps I just have a really weak sniper rifle and that I needed a better one to get the kills. It took 2, 3, sometimes even 5 shots to get the kill, and that's when I know I hit them. The other confusing part was that if an enemy was far away, I didn't know if I should aim over their heads to accommodate for the bullet curve over the distance, or if I should aim right on the target. Truth is, I still don't have an answer for that because I simply wasn't getting the kills even if it shows I was hitting the target. Adding attachments and upgrading weapons felt a bit tricky. To select loadouts you need to press L and R1 and then you have to switch between player modes using L and R2, but then select whatever option using the analogs. It just got a bit annoying and confusing. It's not a major issue, but they could perhaps make it more seamless and user-friendly. The post-match display of scores and player contributions also doesn't make much sense to me. They will show my kills and assists, but then I still don't know if I placed first or last in my team. Maybe a quick leaderboard screen could work. One final thing I also didn't like was that if you unlock new weapon attachments or if you want to select a different weapon for the next game, you don't have enough time to do it between games. It can load you into a new game very quickly. Which is good in one sense since it also sucks to wait too long. But since I'm still learning the controls, I have no chance to make any sort of changes between games. And because I'm a beginner, I do want to experiment with different guns and player modes. But you get loaded into a game really quickly before you have the chance to make any changes. Now I would like to mention a few things about the game that I did like. The movement and the action feels more lifelike. It's less sliding and diving like Superhumans. The running feels real and moving from one target to the next also feels realistic. It has a good variety of game modes. It has Breakthrough, which I played first, but then realized you play against AI bots only. It has Domination and TDM, as I mentioned briefly before. That's where I spent most of my time playing. This mode has slightly smaller maps with easier to achieve objectives. The first team to 200 kills, or you have 3 areas you need to defend. The team that defends most of these areas for the longest wins. It also has a game mode that is auto-selected by Battlefield. It's the one right on top. This mode has more challenging objectives and I found more people were playing here. Unfortunately, with Portal and Hazard Zone, there were no players joining me in these lobbies, so I'm not entirely sure what the objectives here are. I like that you can have different player roles such as an engineer, medical support, recon, and assault. Although playing these different player roles, it didn't feel like you had that much different to do between each. One guy supplies ammo and the other medic kits. And then with supply, for example, your one gadget is a shield. Sure, it can be useful, but not really that often. Although the different player types and roles is an interesting feature, maybe their roles can be a bit more prominent. However, this could be purely because I'm still a noob and I don't know how to play it. I really like the maps. It has a real world feel to it. I like how you can be a sniper and use it the proper way, by staying low on a roof and taking out enemies below. However, you can only take a few kills and then the enemy will come and find you. It would have been cool if the support player was going with a sniper like they do in real world sniping situations. But this is also a player issue, I believe. If you had a team of friends, I'm sure you could easily play it this way. But it is still cool to have multiple different sniping positions in one map. What I also like is that the maps keep rotating and I haven't played on one map consecutively. It seems like Battlefield did a good job on that, compared to Black Ops 6 at least, since there you play 10 games and 7 of them will be on Stakeout. So those are some brief points on my likes and dislikes of Battlefield 2042. Knowing that I haven't played all the game modes meant that I couldn't give you all a complete first impression of the entire game. So the next day I knew I needed to try the campaign mode and then talk about that in the video. But when I went to play campaign mode, I stumbled onto something. I figured out there actually isn't a campaign mode, although it sounds similar. It's called Conquest. But all it seems that you do here is play against AI bots again. Same as with Breakthrough, just different objectives. I really can't be sure what the goal is here, since in a different selection under the same game mode, I actually had to wait for 16 players to join. It's a bit confusing, not to mention a waste of time since not a single person joined. But by continuing my search, I went into Portal and you'll never guess what I found. I found a bunch of open servers. I can't believe that I actually missed this. No wonder the other game modes are so quiet. People are playing in these servers. I noticed a lot of servers and there were different kind of setups. In some you play with real people against bots. One server I joined was a mix of bots and real people, but it had a lot more bots in it. I played there a little while, but then I stopped because it was mainly fighting in jets, helicopters, tanks, etc. Not much happening on foot, which makes sense since this map was huge. After looking through different servers, I finally found one that has no bots, which turned out to be really hard to stay alive. But it felt really fun to play apart from all the dying. I didn't play here long because I just couldn't get going. I liked this map a lot, but all the dying wasn't for me. One thing that did take me by surprise was the size of the maps. It gives you proper war vibes. Even though the maps are big, you have to be on your guard at all times. One moment there is nobody, and the next moment he is right in front of you. One thing that did really bother me with this game is when you die, you have absolutely no idea how you died. Did someone snipe you? Was it a jet, a tank, or a guy waiting in a corner? When you die, you know where you died, but no idea how, so that means you don't even have the slightest idea what to be careful for the next time around. The other thing that goes with this is that sometimes when you die and you lose that territory, you have big distance to travel to get back there. And sometimes when you do get back, you die the same way because you still have no idea where it came from the first time. Which gets a bit annoying after a while because it takes time to get back to the area. Something else that I don't like about these Battlefield servers and playing here was the number of vehicles and jets that were being played. I get that it is part of the game, but it feels overplayed by the players. You had more vehicles at play than troops on the ground. One of the maps, it felt like a lifetime before seeing another player. I also noticed that the players are all very quiet and just going about their own thing. No communication and no teamwork. Everyone just independently fighting together at times. Even when I entered a vehicle, I wanted the guy near me to jump in so we can shoot some jets and tanks together. But nope, he was not interested. Unfortunately, I wasn't recording at this point so I can't show you. But fact is, everyone is super quiet and it's a bit strange. Overall, I quite enjoyed playing in the Portal game mode. I just wished people were interacting more and working together more. But I'm sure in one of these many servers there will be a group that interacts more. I also think it's a game that will take some time to learn and to get better at. And the better you become, the more enjoyable any game gets. Since I've played Battlefield for only a few days now, it wouldn't be fair to tell you whether it's a good or bad game. I am just sharing with you my honest first impressions of a game I never played before. The main two reasons I'm not crazy about this game is one, for the type of game the people playing are too quiet. But is that the fault of Battlefield? Probably not. The second issue is simply the excessive use of vehicles, tanks, jets and helicopters with little troops on the ground. There are obviously all the other smaller things I didn't like about the game, but there are just as many things I do like about the game. The player base being so quiet and the overuse of vehicles is the only real downside about the game for me personally. It's a game that takes time and patience to get better at. There's plenty of maps and different kinds of servers you play, so you won't get bored that quickly. I think that there are so many different game modes that not all of them are even being used, as I mentioned previously. I think that's why I had certain expectations when I jumped into the servers. These are servers with specific missions. Why are people not communicating? I still find that quite strange. I know it is quite late to be making a first impressions video of a game that's been out for a few years already. But it might still help some people watching this and wondering if they should invest time and money into Battlefield 2042. I also know that people are eagerly waiting for the next Battlefield to come out. I believe that Call of Duty has left the door wide open for other companies to close the gap or to make an even better game. Do you guys think the next Battlefield could be that game? Let me know in the comments what you think. Also, if you have any comments or suggestions on what I can do to improve my channel and my videos, I'd love to hear it. As always, take care and happy gaming.